The Kansas City Chiefs stand at a crossroads. Should they orchestrate a blockbuster move to reclaim Tyreek Hill? The NFL landscape has been violently reshaped by recent developments surrounding one of football's most electrifying playmakers, and Kansas City suddenly finds itself at the epicenter of what could become the most seismic trade saga of the season. As the Miami Dolphins stumble through what can only be described as a catastrophic meltdown, pressure mounts over whether the Chiefs should seize this moment and aggressively reunite with their former superstar weapon. Miami's collapse has been swift and undeniable, sideline tempers boiling over, frustration visible for the world to see. Their offense has sputtered, the disconnect between exorbitantly paid talent and actual production now impossible to disguise. This dysfunction has cracked open an opportunity that Kansas City would be reckless to dismiss, particularly given their current vulnerabilities and championship ambitions. Miami's implosion equals Kansas City's window. The Dolphins entered this campaign with Super Bowl dreams, but those visions have rapidly deteriorated into a nightmare few foresaw. Their offensive blueprint has collapsed spectacularly, and the supposed bond between quarterback and receiver, once thought to be the foundation, has instead become their fatal flaw. The evidence is written in body language and sideline theatrics, communicating what stats cannot. This situation is spiraling beyond repair. For Kansas City, the timing couldn't be more compelling. Their own offense has sputtered. Injuries and suspensions have left glaring voids in the receiving core, creating a jarring contrast between their suffocating defense and a passing game struggling to match. Without immediate reinforcement, that imbalance could sabotage a season otherwise primed for glory. Kansas City's receiver room, a brutal audit. The Chiefs' wide receiver group currently sits at the intersection of promise and peril. Rookie burner Xavier Worthy, drafted to stretch the field vertically, has been hampered by lingering injuries, including a painful shoulder issue after colliding with Travis Kelce that now casts doubt on his durability. Meanwhile, Rashee Rice's suspension has removed what was becoming a vital connection with Patrick Mahomes. His return later this season will bring hope, but rhythm and chemistry take time to rebuild, and the depth chart beyond them, thin, unproven, inconsistent. For a team chasing another Lombardi trophy, potential isn't enough. Compounding this is Kansas City's brutal upcoming schedule, a gauntlet of elite defenses and powerhouse offenses that will demand firepower at weight. Without a legitimate game-breaking threat, the Chiefs risk wasting another prime season of Mahomes, Kelce, and Chris Jones. In the NFL championship windows slam shut quickly, front offices cannot afford hesitation. The numbers don't lie, Mahomes with and without speed. The statistical case for reunion is staggering. From 2018 to 2022, when Mahomes had access to Tyreek Hill's world-class speed, his passer rating soared to an astronomical 117.1, a testament to the lethal marriage of quarterback arm talent and receiver separation. Contrast that with today. On throws of 20-plus yards, Mahomes' passer rating has cratered to 44.8, ranking 33rd of 34 qualifying QBs. This isn't regression, it's absence. Absence of a receiver who can consistently stretch defenses, dictate coverages, and flip games with a single explosive play. The numbers illuminate the reality. Mahomes' greatness is undeniable, but without elite speed outside the hashes, the Chiefs' offensive machine loses its most devastating gear. In short, Miami's implosion has created the perfect storm. Kansas City has the motive, the need, and the opportunity. The only question that remains: will the Chiefs take the gamble and bring Tyreek Hill back home, or risk watching their dynasty momentum stall?
He built his reputation on the ability to elongate plays with his mobility, forcing defenders to remain locked in coverage for extended stretches while he manufactured brilliance outside the pocket. Yet this trademark skill loses much of its potency when receivers fail to generate separation, even with additional time. In those situations, defenses grow emboldened in their pass rush, confident their coverage can withstand prolonged pressure. The explosiveness that once defined Kansas City's offensive DNA has steadily withered in the absence of a legitimate deep threat. Without the looming danger of being scorched downfield, opposing defenses have played with far more aggression, tightening run support and unleashing exotic blitz concepts. The ripple effect has been devastating. Short yardage passing schemes diminished, the ground attack stifled, and the entire offensive rhythm destabilized. The AFC arms race intensified hostility. The competitive landscape of the AFC has shifted dramatically, with several franchises fortifying their rosters in ways that threaten Kansas City's championship ambitions. The Denver Broncos, despite their glaring quarterback deficiencies, have forged a defensive unit menacing enough to neutralize nearly any attack. Their coordinator has installed a scheme that amplifies the strengths of his personnel, producing a defense capable of dismantling even the most carefully constructed game plans. While Bo Nix's struggles under center are well documented, Denver's defensive ascendancy cannot be dismissed. They have repeatedly demonstrated the capacity to dictate outcomes through sheer defensive dominance. For the Chiefs, this means facing low-scoring slugfests where every possession carries monumental weight. More offensive weaponry would provide insurance against precisely the type of suffocating resistance Denver now presents. The Los Angeles Chargers also loom as a dangerous adversary. Having made shrewd acquisitions that directly addressed prior weaknesses, their recent triumph over Kansas City revealed their blueprint for neutralizing many of the Chiefs' historical strengths. The bruising physicality of that contest, leaving several key Chiefs battered, underscored the necessity of depth and resilience across the roster. Even the Las Vegas Raiders, often dismissed, have outperformed expectations, transforming the AFC West into a relentless gauntlet where every divisional clash reverberates with playoff consequences. The margin for error has been reduced to near zero. In such a climate, elite skill position talent becomes indispensable for sustaining competitive superiority. Beyond the division, AFC titans like the Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills stand as formidable obstacles. These organizations have crafted rosters brimming with multiple offensive playmakers and defensive juggernauts capable of suffocating opponents. Kansas City cannot afford to enter January undermanned or lacking dynamism, especially when matched against rivals boasting equal or superior firepower. The eye test, primetime reality. Check recent Sunday Night Football spectacles delivered a sobering reality check, exposing the Chiefs' shortcomings under the brightest lights. The broadcast stage showcased franchises executing with ruthless precision. Offensive machines generating explosive plays at will, defenses overwhelming opponents into submission. By contrast, Kansas City's sputtering performances revealed an unmistakable gulf between their present form and championship-caliber excellence. The rapid decision-making, surgical route execution, and breathtaking explosiveness of elite teams stand in stark relief against the Chiefs' diminished potency. Such disparities cannot be glossed over, and the coaching staff is undoubtedly aware of the chasm separating current capability from Super Bowl aspirations. Urgency must define their response. Roster deficiencies must be confronted decisively before they calcify into fatal flaws. The early stretch of the season offers a fleeting window for corrective action, but procrastination risks squandering the campaign altogether. While player development and tactical tweaks can yield incremental progress, inherent physical limitations cannot be transcended. Coaching genius cannot conjure elite speed, separation skills, or game-breaking explosiveness where those natural gifts are absent. This unflinching reality demands external remedies, be it through bold trades or calculated roster reinforcements. Miami's inevitable crossroads. When dysfunction consumes. Meanwhile, in Miami, dysfunction has metastasized into an existential crisis. The relationship between cornerstone players and the organization has fractured so severely that public displays of discontent have become routine. Such toxicity corrodes far beyond the individuals at the center. It poisons locker room chemistry, undermines trust, and compromises collective performance. The Dolphins' leadership faces an unenviable decision: cling to a decaying status quo in blind hope of internal repair, or confront the hard truth that the situation is irretrievable and act decisively. Evidence overwhelmingly suggests the latter. The issues are foundational, not superficial. Cosmetic adjustments will not suffice. Only sweeping change can restore equilibrium. Financial realities intensify the dilemma. Retaining a disgruntled, exorbitantly paid star drains not only the salary cap, but also morale, cultural cohesion, and the franchise's reputation, league-wide. In truth, the intangible costs, fractured chemistry, eroded culture, damaged credibility, often prove far more devastating than the monetary burden itself. The damage stretches far deeper than the short-term loss of a gifted athlete. For Miami, the massive investment in offensive talent was designed to produce a dynamic, explosive juggernaut capable of dueling with the league's elite. Instead, what has emerged is a scenario where that talent is squandered through poor schematic fit and chronic execution failures. This represents not merely a competitive disappointment, but a profound misallocation of resources, one that threatens to undermine the franchise's ability to assemble a championship-caliber roster for years to come. Kansas City's championship. Window urgency meets opportunity. The Chiefs' Super Bowl aspirations now hinge on maximizing the prime years of their cornerstone stars. Most importantly, their generational quarterback, who has firmly established himself as one of the NFL's transcendent performers. In professional football, championship windows are notoriously fleeting. Wasting seasons due to preventable roster deficiencies risks inflicting consequences that reverberate well beyond a single campaign. Kansas City's current core has already proven it can achieve championship heights when supported by the right ensemble. But the unforgiving structure of the NFL's salary cap ensures that sustaining elite talent across every position is virtually impossible. Strategic prioritization becomes essential, and no position screams louder for an upgrade than wide receiver. The potential return on investment here is immediate and immense. The Chiefs' organizational DNA has long been marked by opportunistic boldness. Past decisions to secure high-impact talent through aggressive trades directly fueled their dynastic rise. Those precedents should guide their present strategy. When the championship door is open, hesitation is lethal. Even incremental upgrades in roster composition can tilt playoff seeding, dictate home field advantage, and ultimately determine who hoists the Lombardi Trophy. Trade logistics. Balancing the ledger. Executing a blockbuster trade of this magnitude demands meticulous financial and strategic consideration. Salary cap maneuvering, draft compensation, and roster equilibrium must all align. The Chiefs' front office would need to assess not only current flexibility but also long-term implications, balancing the immediate infusion of elite talent against the ripple effects on future. Payroll. Premium draft capital would almost certainly be required, forcing the franchise to weigh the uncertain promise of developmental prospects against the tangible impact of a proven superstar. Given Kansas City's current timeline, the argument for prioritizing proven excellence over potential is undeniable. Meanwhile, Miami's stance on compensation would hinge on its own competitive horizon. A team resigned to stepping back from immediate contention might value draft assets above short-term wins, opening the door for a mutually beneficial resolution. Creative structuring, performance-based conditional picks, contract restructuring, or innovative financial engineering could serve as the linchpin for making the numbers work. Historical precedent. Reunions that redefined dynasties. NFL is rich with precedent where bold reunions between former teammates or coaches redefined entire championship runs. Such moves often yield instant chemistry that shortcuts the usual adjustment period. Familiarity with route concepts, timing, and communication patterns provides a competitive edge that raw talent alone cannot replicate. Moreover, the psychological dimension is powerful. Athletes frequently elevate their play when reuniting with environments or figures tied to past success. That familiarity fuels confidence, ignites motivation, and can spark a self-reinforcing cycle of heightened performance. History has consistently rewarded the franchises willing to make audacious, targeted moves to fix glaring weaknesses with proven solutions. The Mahomes factor. Maximizing a generational asset. At the center of it all stands Patrick Mahomes, the most valuable singular asset in the sport. Kansas City's organizational future revolves around extracting every ounce of his prime. The quarterback's brilliance is inseparable from the strength of his supporting cast, making investment in elite skill position talent not simply beneficial, but essential. Mahomes' evolution as a generational player has been shaped by his synergy with receivers who could match his improvisation and creativity. The absence of such weapons forces him to suppress his natural instincts, diluting the explosive plays that have become the hallmark of his career. Restoring him to the company of a receiver capable of mirroring his instinctive artistry could reignite levels of production not seen in recent campaigns. Mahomes' prime represents a finite and irreplaceable window. Extracting the maximum value from these years requires surrounding him with playmakers who elevate not only his performance, but the efficiency of the entire offensive ecosystem. The cost of acquiring such talent, whether in draft capital, salary cap maneuvering, or financial resources, must always be weighed against the priceless value of seizing championships while a transcendent quarterback remains at his peak. Defensive calculus: how elite receivers reshape the game. The presence of a true deep threat completely rewrites the defensive playbook. Coordinators cannot dismiss the looming danger of a receiver capable of detonating a defense in one snap. They are forced to keep safety shaded deep, sacrificing aggressiveness in both the pass rush and run support. This constraint ripples through every layer of the offense, creating opportunities for underneath routes, play-action deception, and a more balanced rushing attack. Modern defenses thrive on suffocating explosive plays, daring offenses to string together flawless drives. An elite separator disrupts this blueprint by reintroducing the perpetual threat of instant scoring. This tension forces defenders into constant hesitation, weakening their conviction on shorter coverages and opening space for crossing routes and intermediate patterns. In essence, the gravity of one elite receiver makes every other pass catcher more effective. Game planning against such a unit drains valuable practice time and divides defensive attention, amplifying the strengths of the Chiefs' already established stars. Locker room dynamics, chemistry, and leadership. Reintroducing a familiar playmaker into Kansas City's locker room would demand tactful management, but the upside could be transformative. Shared history breeds intuitive communication, the kind of shorthand that usually takes months to establish. This accelerates cohesion and limits disruption. Leadership within championship teams is often catalyzed by star players whose presence elevates those around them. Elite receivers not only draw defensive gravity, but they also embolden teammates, instilling confidence across the roster. A veteran returning to familiar ground frequently discovers renewed energy, motivated to prove that past triumphs were no fluke. That resurgence often becomes contagious, inspiring a culture of excellence that reverberates through the locker room. For the coaching staff, prior familiarity with such a player offers an enormous tactical edge. Knowing precisely how to deploy his strengths and shield his weaknesses, slotting him seamlessly into complex schemes without the traditional learning curve. With championship opportunities limited, that efficiency is invaluable. Financial calculus. Investing in glory, while absorbing an elite contract, demands careful cap gymnastics. History proves that championship franchises rarely regret allocating resources toward transformative talent. Kansas City's front office has consistently exhibited financial sophistication, stretching dollars while keeping rosters competitive. The return on investment for acquiring a premier receiver extends far beyond the stat sheet. Playoff revenue, merchandise surges, and long-term brand growth all magnify the value of a deep postseason run. Draft picks, though valuable, are promises of uncertain future returns. Proven stars are known quantities, battle-tested and immediately impactful. In a league where championship windows close with startling speed, the opportunity cost of hoarding. Flexibility often outweighs the rewards of aggressive acquisition. Conservative approaches might protect future balance sheets, but they seldom deliver Lombardi trophies. Strategic timing. Why the moment is now. This stage of the season presents the perfect crossroads. Early enough to integrate a new star seamlessly, yet deep enough to understand the roster's shortcomings. Upcoming clashes against top competition make the timing even more pressing. Entering those matchups undermanned could produce damaging losses with playoff seeding consequences. Conversely, landing an elite weapon now could ignite momentum that surges into January. Market dynamics also favor urgency. Other contenders are circling similar targets. Hesitation risks escalating prices or losing the opportunity altogether. The developmental arc of Kansas City's current receiving core suggests that dramatic internal improvement is improbable this year. Waiting is not a strategy, it is surrender. The bottom line: boldness defines. Champions, the Chiefs stand at a decisive juncture that will shape not only this season, but the trajectory of their dynasty. The evidence is overwhelming. Acquiring a premier receiver with established chemistry and elite production would immediately vault Kansas City's championship probability. The cost, whether measured in picks, dollars, or cap flexibility, shrinks in comparison to the priceless value of capitalizing on Mahomes' peak. Meanwhile, Miami's unraveling situation may present a fleeting window of opportunity. The franchises that seize such moments define eras. Those that hesitate are left with regret. Kansas City has proven before that it understands when to strike boldly. History demands they do so again. The NACU guys see you next video.